we want to ask you, for most of us, we kind of know already, but for the few people that don't know, can you tell us a bit about yourself, man? How you got into crypto, how you got into Illuvium, how you got into content creating. Just tell us a bit about that journey.
So I got into crypto properly got into crypto last year around May, when the crash happened and Bitcoin sort of like fell by like around 50%. Somebody that worked with my wife, he was super into crypto, and he was like, guys, this is a dip. What you do is you buy the dip. And my wife came home, she'd bought like £200 worth of crypto, and she was like telling me about it, and I was like, okay, I know crypto, but I hadn't ever really dived into it, and I probably spent the next like month doing a like hella ton of research. Ended up going super all in, eventually sort of stumbled across Axie Infinity, like dumped a bit of money in there, a little bit, lost a bit, moved on. And the moment that I saw Illuvium, I took everything out of Axie Infinity. I took everything out of the rest of my crypto portfolio and pretty much went all in on Illuvium SLP staking. Within like 2 weeks of discovering Illuvium, I went from 0 to 100. So that's pretty much how I got into Illuvium. And then at that point, I felt like I knew quite a bit about Illuvium, about its tokenomics, and I felt that. Because what I ended up doing is I spent like 8 hours a day on the Discord, which is insane. I was actually on my honeymoon. My wife is obviously super supportive. Otherwise, I'd be dead right now. But during those 8 hours a day, I was sort of like, this actually takes an obscene amount of like just back and forth, like hashing things out, figuring out details to really get to grips with the entire details. I felt like the white paper, like it explains it, but it also like kind of leaves bits out. Some bits seem a bit vague. So I ended up making my first, like my second video technically, which was all about just the entire tokenomics. I think I spent like pretty much 24 hours like putting all the information together and then recording it and then a little bit of editing. And then that video to this day is actually my most viewed video. So that kind of led me to make more videos about staking and other things, and starting the Vetcast, having guests on, having conversations, which I've really enjoyed doing, because just having these chats with other people in the space, I think is very valuable.
That's why actually I'm super grateful, because I started the whole content stuff like 3 months ago as well. Just slightly over 3 months now, because I know that I started just before the election last cycle, the last election cycle. And me doing those interviews back then, when like I didn't have a big like following, even now I don't have a big following, but I mean I'm doing okay. Like having those conversations with people and actually talking directly to the community members was so like impactful, and it was just great to actually get to know people and put yourself out there like that. So and I think for me personally, I can see the difference between that and this election cycle, where it was much easier for me to reach out to them, and they kind of knew who I was, and just that experience was a lot better. I wanted to ask, man, you said the whole you got into ILV and you kind of went all in like really quickly. So your whole crypto thing, how did you, when you started, what were you getting into? Were you getting into your standard Bitcoin, Ethereum? Were you degenning into other altcoins? And how long was it before you started hitting up Illuvium?
So the very first thing I got into was Bitcoin and Ethereum. I spent a bunch of time researching like even like the Bitcoin maxis and getting into like on-chain data and on-chain analysis. Will Clemente, Willy Woo, those guys have really great information when you're getting started. Read like the Sovereign Individual, which is an amazing book written literally the year that I was born, and yet predicts like the rise of crypto and the rise of sovereign individuals, and is very insightful to sort of looking at where crypto is going and how it's the future. And I did have like some altcoins. I definitely profited off of some of the Solana pump that took place, so I got into crypto, and then maybe month and a half, 2 months later, I was maybe sitting on like double my initial investment, at which point
crazy.
I went completely into Illuvium. I didn't double. Most of that double was probably thanks to Solana, but I had like a bit of Chainlink, a bit of this, a bit of that. But like at that point, I had never actually like owned a MetaMask wallet, or like it was all just on crypto.com. Basically, like a Coinbase or a Binance. So I had actually purely just watched YouTube videos, and I think that's what the majority of crypto investors do. They watch YouTube videos, and I think that actually, the more I've been in the space, and now that I've been nearly a year in the space, I feel that that's actually gambling, and the ultimate and true way to do it is either just be dollar cost averaging, and you can still do it that way, but like, more than anything, you got to get a crypto wallet, get on chain, actually move some things around and see what different chains feel like and what you can actually use them for, so that you can actually start understanding what that's all about. Definitely get your hands on a ledger if you're going to have serious money on there, as Scoriox is showing us, because that's just going to protect you. Figure out what crypto security is all about. What's the point of all of that? And actually understanding what it's really all about and what it's actually like in your own experience, not just listening to somebody else talk about how they've done stuff
I think that's the reason. Like, I love ILV, and ILV is my biggest holding, obviously, but I think that's the reason I've become so fond of Ethereum lately, and that's kind of the main thing I'm going to DCA into. Not only because it's wildly a lot safer than, I guess, every crypto except Bitcoin.
I think it's potentially safer than Bitcoin.
Yeah. No, I agree with you personally. I just know many don't. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where once you understand what crypto is, then Ethereum makes a lot of sense, because you're investing in the protocol. That's effectively investing in crypto to a large degree. And that's a powerful, that's the reason you should be investing. If you're dumping all your money in like Solana and XRP and all that sort of stuff, sure, you got to believe in those projects. But Ethereum is the one for me where you're adding value to this entire community, and you're putting money in it because you think it has a place in the world, whereas its place in the world will then grow to the other cryptocurrencies. And I think it's one of those ones that is really important to me.
Yeah, and actually, Scoriox, I don't think I've ever asked you as well. I don't think you've kind of said it on the podcast before. What was your, like, how long before starting into crypto did you get into Illuvium? Like, what were you getting into, like, back in the day? Were you also going to safe like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or were you teaching?
I had a similar experience to Vetemor, where I got in right at the start of the bull run. I did pretty well. It was after the crash. It was like December 2020 or something. But I did not do a very good job. There's a lot of lessons I've taken away that I'm going to use the next time around. I pretty much blew my chance. I'm going to be honest with you. I got Solana and Cardano at a couple cents, probably less. Yeah. Like barely a cent. I got like hundreds, 400 of them or whatever. There was like this big first leg of the bull run or whatever, and they hit like, I think Solana maybe hit like 50 cents or 40 cents, and I sold most of it. I did similar with Cardano. I mean, I sold a lot of things when they went 2 or 3x. I had like a 4x of my money. I was redistributing all that sort of stuff. If I DCA'd and didn't touch shit, I'd probably be a multimillionaire, to be honest. Like, when you go back and look at the numbers, I have to live with that. That is whatever. But that's what happened to me. I think now I'm just planning on buying the tokens I enjoy, holding them, staking them or whatever if I want to, and things like that, and just holding them for the long term. I can see Vetemor's face like.
I mean, the thing is, like, there's no way to have known, right? There's no way you could have known, and like. That's why I love, like, actually not just buying a token, but then also actually using it and figure it. Because I like, did you at that point actually take any of the Solana out of your like centralized exchange and like play around with what you can actually do with it?
No, Solana ecosystem didn't exist at this point.
Right. So it was super speculative back then. You probably didn't even technically make a bad move by taking profits.